haven't seen much of a yield drag on it yet. I keep thinking each year I'm going to have a yield drag on it, but haven't yet. So we'll see.
Again, that's Jake Lieb, who farms in southern Piatt County. Here on this special planning report, I'm Seth Lawrence.
Whether it's planting, growing, or harvest season, Moreau Ag is your partner every step of the way. Assistant Manager Jason Hunt here with some important reminders. Moreau Ag is your crop protection partner during the growing season, from late season seed to nitrogen and side dress 28, as well as fungicide, herbicide, pesticide, and micronutrients your plants need to maximize yield. Moreau Ag can take care of your crops all season long, and it's important to have us get your residual chemicals down before putting those beans in the ground to prevent weeds and pests from becoming a problem and cutting your yield. Let Moreau Ag be your growing partner every step of the way.
Spring is here, and Illinois can look forward to planting a new crop. Wind. Apex Clean Energy projects are strengthening America's energy independence while receiving broad support from local farmers and landowners. Participation is 100% voluntary. Landowners who choose to host wind energy on their land will receive 30-plus years of steady revenue, and communities receive local property taxes to fund our schools, roads, first responders, and more. Let's plant the seeds of a stronger, more secure future in Illinois. Go to apexcleanenergy.com/landowners.
At Whiffle's Hybrids, we like to speak in metaphors. For example, when it's seed decision time and you're at that fork in the road and time is money, you might want to choose a partner that's a little more underdog, a little more David than Goliath, because you deserve a family-owned company that marches to the beat of their own drum, whose product lineup and customer service is the whole enchilada, the whole ball of wax, the whole kit and caboodle. Whiffle's Hybrids. Plant your independence.
WHOW planting reports are brought to you by our title sponsor, Apex Clean Energy, planting the seeds for a better future in Illinois. Whiffle's Hybrids, your local Whiffle's Hybrid seed dealer and sponsor of our Whiffle's Wednesday reports. Baum Chevrolet Buick, where you'll find the official truck of our planting reports, the 2025 Chevy Silverado, along with Peterson Insurance, AAK Mechanical, and Longview Community Bank, all in Clinton. Maroa Ag north of Maroa, the State Bank of Bemet, in Bemet, and Monticello. Hennings Equipment Company near Assumption. Jenner Precision at Fairburn. And the McLean County Farm Bureau.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, Lincoln Police Chief Joe Meister. Chief, good to see you again, my friend. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming out and talking with us. And sounds like a busy time for you and your department. Some staff turnover and some new folks coming in. What's going on lately?
Happy to report that we are fully staffed for the first time in 5 years. Got a couple guys in the academy that are waiting to get out on the street and more on field training. So that's great news for Lincoln and the Lincoln Police Department.
How hard is it for Lincoln Police to retain the guys that come in, the guys and gals that come in?
We do a pretty good job. We have lost a few officers to the Illinois State Police and their hiring campaign. I think that's the same for pretty much all municipal police departments and county departments as well.
Mm-hmm. So bringing folks on, what kind of staff have you been looking for?
Well, we look for the best of the best. Luckily, this time around, we got a really good list put together, a lot of good candidates that have good qualifications and that are just good people.
And what positions in the department have you been looking for?
Obviously, our main priority is to fill the patrol division, but we've also had some turnover with civilian staff and look to hire a good young lady to join the department as one of our civilian support staff coming up next week. So.
Gotcha. So you mentioned you got one in the academy. Kind of what's the process? You got two in the academy. What's the process of going through the academy and then being on the street?
Yeah. So the typical process is the academy curriculum is 16 weeks long. So the officers spend 16 weeks there. If they successfully complete the academy and their state test, they're certified as a police officer and they go back to their home department. For us, it's 12 weeks for field training where they're assigned with a certified field training officer to learn the job, doing on the job, hands-on training.
Sure. Gotcha. So back at it here, sounds like soon. And so just, I know it's been a challenge to find, not only staff, but good staff, good employees or good, officers. It sounds like you've got a good pool of candidates here lately.
Yeah.
So
I think that the tide is finally starting to turn back and policing is becoming more interesting to the young folks. So
Pretty young officers you're sending through the
Yeah.
academy?
yeah, absolutely. One guy, he graduated college on Saturday,
Mhm.
and he started the academy on Sunday.
Quick turnaround then.
Yeah.
Good for them. Good for them. Well, hopefully those things pan out for you. Like I said, I know it can be a challenge, and I'm curious, Chief, how does Lincoln, in terms of its pay, compare to other areas? Because I mean, that's a big thing right now, is competing with that payroll and that salary. How about that?
Well, it's always going to be hard to compete with somebody like the state of Illinois.
Mhm.
They have such a large pool and large pockets. But Lincoln, as far as comparable municipalities, actually pays really well. We start off, at one point, we were starting off higher than other larger municipalities.
Mhm.
Our base pay for a patrolman starting year one is $75,300 a year, which I never thought that I'd say that about about a police job. But,
Really?
yeah, that's a good wage. I
Mhm.
think it's a wage that a young person can definitely start a family with. And
Mhm.
we also offer a lot of other good benefits. We're one of the only departments around that offers comp time, compensatory time, at the rate of 2 per 1. So if you work 1 hour overtime, you get 2 hours off.
Mm.
That's a huge benefit.
Yeah, gotcha. I'm sure guys are cashing in on that right now, or they will once you're fully staffed. So yeah,
Absolutely.
probably a lot of overtime of late. Very good. Well, sounds good, Chief. Glad to hear you're fully staffed, and hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, all those things that it stays that way. So I know one of the other things that's kind of been on your mind and on your radar lately has been some laws, ordinances that have gone into effect. Let's start with Karina's law. What's this? What's it all about?
So Karina's law pertains to domestic violence situations and orders of protection. In any circuit court in Illinois, a victim of domestic violence can petition the court for an order of protection to keep that person that's causing them issues away from them.
Mm-hmm.
But Karina's law has added a complicating factor, and what it is the petitioner of an order of protection can also petition the court for a search warrant,
Mm-hmm.
which generally only law enforcement could request a search warrant before this. But now the petitioner can testify to a petition or an affidavit for search warrant and have the court issue a search warrant. Then that's delivered to law enforcement, and we have to go execute that search warrant at the home of the respondent of the order.
Okay.
And those search warrants are only valid for firearms parts, accessories, things like that.
Gotcha. You were saying this is going to be a huge burden on law enforcement. Why is that?
Absolutely. So to safely execute a residential search warrant, you have to have a team of officers who's, one, trained to do that type of function, and two, you have to have enough to get it done safely. Usually a team bare minimum is 6 officers that are dedicated only to that detail, that function, and sometimes as much as double that amount, depending on what type of property is to be searched and secured.
Yeah.
So you're talking about huge overtime costs, a lot of staffing issues,
a lot of training that would have to go into that, it sounds like.
Yeah. For those officers that are, it's called CQB, close quarters battle or contact trained. That's a minimum 40-hour class, and then continuing education after that.
Right.
Just to get a certification in that type of function.
It sounds like you may have to train your whole staff on this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And luckily for Lincoln, most of our staff have gone through tactics training like that.
Okay.
We rotate guys through that just so that they have that base, that foundation, in case they ever get into a situation where that type of behavior is needed.
Yeah. Well, and I also wonder, how much are you going to know about that situation? If you're ordered, you're probably going into a lot of these things not knowing the whole story. I wonder how much your guys are going to be put into situations they don't know what they're getting into.
Right. That's one of the big problems with Karina's law, as far as law enforcement standpoint, is typically when we do a search warrant for a residence, we've studied everything. We know what the inside of the house looks like. We know who should be there, whether there's dogs or any other dangerous situation. If there's children in the home. These are things that we research far ahead of even applying for the search warrant, and then get a plan put together to execute it.
Right.
And that timing, luckily is on us,
Mhm.
but not anymore. With Karina's law, we'll just be delivered a search warrant for 123 Anywhere Street and expected to serve it within 96 hours.
96 hours is what you'll have. And so will you be able to do any surveillance, things like that to prepare yourself?
In certain circumstances, yes, but when the order of protection is accompanied by a search warrant, the law requires simultaneous service. So when a deputy gets that paper to serve and shows up at the residence, which he's required to serve an emergency order of protection as soon as practicable, then we have to go. The jurisdiction having the responsibility for answering calls for service there has to go to that residence and serve the search warrant at the same time.
Yeah. And I want to go back to like the basics on this to connect the dots. Is the connection between the order of protection and the search warrant, are they simultaneous, where like if someone gets a order of protection, they're automatically served a search warrant? Is that how that works?
No, the petitioner for the order of protection has to ask for the search warrant.
Okay.
So not every case will you have a search warrant connected with that order of protection,
Right.
but there's always that option.
Okay. Do you have to file the order of protection in order to get the search warrant then?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, orders of protection, if I understand right, like, are those kind of limited in their scope? Is that right?
So there's remedies in an order of protection that the judge decides whether or not are appropriate to issue. Most often there's a 500-foot stay away order. So the respondent can't be within 500 feet of the petitioner.
Right.
Different protected addresses. Sometimes there's child custody agreement stuff attached to it. Things like that.
Yeah. So when the firearms side of this, then I guess I don't understand like where the firearms come into the order protection piece then.
So a person who has an order of protection issued against them is prohibited from possessing firearms.
Oh, okay.
And it's always been that way.
Okay.
That's where the firearms part comes in.
Okay.
Also, a person who's been convicted of domestic violence is prohibited from having those.
Yes.
So,
right.
What the law does is it allows the petitioner, if they have knowledge of this person who now has an order against them possessing firearms, it allows them to petition the court instead of law enforcement taking that information and petitioning. Got it.
Any other concerns with this legislation from a law enforcement side?
I'm just I'm afraid of a person issuing or requesting a frivolous order and a frivolous search warrant.
Yeah.
That's my main concern, because no cop wants to rush up into somebody's house and take away their firearms that they legally possess just because somebody has lied about them.
Yeah. Well, and then from there, that person that does legally own those, what's the process then for them to reacquire that in the event they're confiscated?
Right. So they are seized and retained by law enforcement for the period of time that the order is active. And at that point, when the order is no longer active, the owner can petition the court to have the firearms returned to them. And then if that order is issued, police have to return the firearms within 14 days.
Yeah. Well, so now my question is, and forgive me if I'm kind of trying to piece this together and think out loud through this with you, but so then my question is, okay, so if all of this originates at an order of protection, are there frivolous orders of protection, and are those easy to acquire, I guess?
Sure. Yeah. The answer is yes to both.
Oh.
Our courts are often forgiving when it comes to information in a petition for an order of protection, because they want to err on the side of caution.
Right.
So if a person comes in and says, I'm the victim of domestic violence, the court is oftentimes going to side with them, at least for the emergency portion of that order. That's a 2-week period.
Okay.
Then there's another hearing, a plenary hearing, where the respondent can come in and argue, no, I haven't been violent with this person.
Gotcha.
And there's a little more scrutiny at that point from the courts.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there discretion on the court side of this, to recognize a frivolous accusation and those sorts of things?
Absolutely. The court is always reviewing the credibility of anybody that provides testimony. So
Sure.
if they find a lack thereof, I think that at that point they would identify it as a frivolous complaint.
Got it. Well, and it just sounds like this could really bog down, law enforcement, especially depending on the ease of which to acquire that search warrant. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think it'll be a burden not only on law enforcement but also on our courts. It's more time and paperwork, like always.
Yeah, right. Yep. Always paperwork with it. Sure. Anything else on that, Chief, we didn't touch on you want to put out there for us?
No, I think that's a good overview of what's going on, and it's so new that that's all the information I really have for you.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how.
But that went into effect last week, right?
Last Sunday.
So you don't know much about it, and I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying you don't know much about it, but you're supposed to enforce it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That seems to be a Illinois trend.
I was going to say that's the tradition in Illinois. Welcome to the state. Very good. Well, Chief, let's break here, my friend. Come back with some more. Lincoln Police Chief Joe Meister in studio with us. More to come with him on the morning show.
WHOW.
Weeknow.com.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Lower across the board with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. July corn down 9 3/4, 438 1/4. September corn down 5, 427 3/4. December new crop 440 1/2, down a nickel. July beans down 16 1/4, 1055. August beans down 14 1/2, 1053 3/4. November new crop 1045 down 12 1/2. July wheat down 4 3/4, 510 1/2. September wheat down 4 3/4, 525. July bean meal 293.20 down 490. July bean oil 49.93 up a penny. Livestock market May feeders 302.07 down $1.02. June live cattle down 22 cents, 216.60. May lean hogs 90.65 down 7 cents. Energy market June crude oil 63.05 up $1.10. Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton and Farmer City. This is what we strive to do each and every day. We'll listen to you, give you the options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs with a staff that is knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full service dealer. See us at baumchevybuick.com right from the start.
There's a reason WHOW is the Big 1520 across central Illinois. That's because anytime the sun is up, you can hear WHOW's big signal from Jacksonville to Peoria, from Pontiac to the Indiana state line, and to Charleston and Effingham. Anywhere you travel in central Illinois, take WHOW, the Big 1520, with you in your car, truck, or tractor. Just another reason why WHOW is Central Illinois' news, agriculture, and talk station.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Lincoln Police Chief Joe Meister in studio with us today. Chief, another piece of legislation not in law yet, but it sounds like gaining a lot of momentum. 1611, House Bill 1611. What's this? What's it all about?
So this is something that will be in really direct contradiction of Karina's law. This is a law that has been introduced to prohibit the police from executing residential search warrants. So it'll be only in specific cases that we would be allowed to execute a search warrant on a person's home for what the U.S. Code defines as a violent felony. That's anything that a person can be imprisoned for more than a year for. So that really removes search warrants for misdemeanor offenses altogether. It will allow for the investigation of felonies, for any property crime over $1,000, and then any controlled substance delivery case. Those search warrants can still be executed, but it limits a time frame that we can execute those warrants, and makes it a daytime service only. So 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Are you executing search warrants outside of those hours?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
We execute them any time of day or night, but depending on the case, a lot of times they're nighttime services.
Okay. So what are some of these circumstances you could execute a search warrant for?
Violent felonies. So, your typical crimes against a person, robbery, homicide, aggravated battery, those types of cases. But one of the things that I pointed out to a colleague yesterday is the removal of our ability to execute a search warrant for a property crime that is less than $1,000 in value. So a police officer could even witness a person commit a burglary, break into somebody's house, garage, steal property that isn't valued at over $1,000, walk it across the street into their home, and you could still see it through a picture window, but we're no longer able to request a search warrant, execute the search warrant, and seize the evidence of that crime. And that contradicts the Fourth Amendment, to be honest with you. The Fourth Amendment of the United States says that government can execute a search warrant or a warrant upon issuance by the court, probable cause.
Yeah.
And this Illinois law will remove our authority to do that.
Wow. In a community that has had issues with property crime, that's got to be alarming to you.
Huge problem. So the police will have to go to a victim who says, I know my property is there. Say, I wrote my initials on it, and there it sits in that guy's yard.
Can't do anything.
I'll have to tell him I can't do anything about it.
Disheartening.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely
disheartening. Wow.
As a police officer, it's disheartening. As a citizen, it's disheartening. It's just terrible.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say on that one. That's tough to watch. But it's not law yet.
No.
So what do you for folks that are dismayed by hearing that, what are you encouraging them to do, Chief?
Get on ilga.gov and file opposition slips. Call your representatives, call your senators. Make sure that they know that you don't support this.
Sure. Well, Chief, I'll tell you what, I got about a minute left with you. I know springtime and nearly summertime is upon us. It's going to be busy in Lincoln. What do you got going on?
Got a lot of fun stuff going on. So
for all the bad stuff, let's get to the fun stuff to wrap up.
Our DARE program is doing a lot of stuff with the kids at school as the school year winds down. We hope to have some more community events, cookouts, things like that. The city of Lincoln is doing Third Fridays, starts this month. Actually, this Friday will be our first Third Friday event downtown. And then the Balloon Festival in August is a big thing. I was told that it's going to be the biggest one in the state this year. There's 35 balloons slated to be out at Open Arms, which is the old Lincoln Christian University campus, to do the night glows and the tethered rides, all kinds of stuff.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, a lot of fun stuff coming up.
Very good, Chief. Well, hey, always good to see you, my friend. Thanks for making time for us.
Thank you.
Lincoln Police Chief Joe Meister in studio with me this morning. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Also, a reminder, we stream live online all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com. Network news comes your way next on the morning show.
WHOW.